All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on the Divorce Chronicles. Today, our guest is Rich Franklin. Rich is originally from Brooklyn, New York, and he has lived down here in Virginia for about 6 years, which I would love to talk a little bit about how you got here and your life has been a series of incidences that have led you to where you are today, and I love your story. So professionally, he works for AT&T in business sales. He loves to work out and he has a passion for bowling. I've recently had an opportunity to sit down with him to discuss his experience with divorce, co-parenting, and our country's legal system. And so I really enjoyed having and hearing the male perspective on things. So I hope you do too. So without further ado, we have Rich Franklin.
Well, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us. And so,
Yeah.
kind of wanted to start off a little bit with your history as much as you want to share with us. How did you get to where you are today?
Okay. Well, fresh out of college, I worked for Verizon, for many, many moons, like so much so that I started, uh, it was October of 2005, and I didn't leave Verizon until 3 Mother's Days ago, so just a couple years ago. And I lived in upstate New York. The job relocated me here, and I supported 7 different states, at the same time, supporting the retail stores as they helped businesses. Um, I left there and then joined AT&T, and T, and but I moved out here in 2018, and I moved out here and I found, like, as soon as I got here, I fell in love with the area. I love the weather. The people here seem to be really nice and welcoming, and I have not had a negative experience in any way, shape, or form since I got here. So it's been like it felt like home pretty early on. Like, I think I was here about a week, and I was like, yes, I made the right decision in choosing to come here.
Yeah,
And then
Rich, you
ever
and I share that we have that in common for anybody listening. Anybody from upstate New York and comes to Virginia, we don't ever leave because we don't want to go back to the depression of the 9 month
Right,
winters and all of that. So totally understand.
right, because I'm. Because when's the last time we saw snow here? What, 2 years ago? So an actual
Right,
snow, like we
right.
might get a dust here or there. And that I'm okay with that. I'll work on my tan. Like, I'm okay with that. I can do
Yeah. So when you were in New York, can you share, if you're comfortable, share with us your experience of divorce and co-parenting while you were in New York?
Yes, because we were so young when it happened, there weren't any assets to split. So some of the experiences that other men have gone through, I was fortunate enough not to. We didn't have any assets to fight over and split. We were both two young kids that didn't really have much. The main cause for contention was custody and placement of those girls. Um,
Mhm.
and it wasn't a matter of like trying to sling dirt at their mother. It was more so just explaining, hey, these are what the children need, this is what I provide. And I'm able to provide it in such a manner that they don't have to struggle, they don't have to be upset about it, they can still have ample time with their mother if she wants it. um but I'm able to handle the things that they need. And the fear was, if they were with her, the court would still require me to handle all the things that they need and pay her on top of it. So she's basically getting a paycheck because she had a child. And you'd be surprised how many moms I know that feel entitled to that. And I have to tell them
Yeah.
all the same thing. Unless you had those children via mitosis, you are not entitled to that. That is a conversation that needs to be had between you and the other parent, and you guys work it out together. Because in the end, it should be about the children. It shouldn't be about ego. It shouldn't be about hurting someone because your relationship didn't work out the way you planned it.
Mhm.
It should be about, okay, the life dynamic for this child is going to change. How do we make this as smooth as humanly possible? And how do we make sure this child grows in a manner that they become a productive member of society? That's it.
Right, absolutely. And one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about the child support situation is, at least in Virginia, child support and visitation and custody are two separate things. And
It is in
so
New York too.
Okay, so, I heard a lot when I was going through my divorce, like if he doesn't pay child support, he shouldn't get to see his kids. And people don't understand that those are totally separate situations. And like you said, yeah, we're not holding these kids ransom because you're not paying X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that your kid should be taken away from you. And I think that that's a big misconception. Have you seen that a lot?
I, I have seen it. And here's the problem. And I've had this conversation with people very close to me about this too. And I'm like, listen, if he's not paying you child support and you choose to keep the children from him because of it, then your interest was never for the children. It was about how can you hurt him? How can you control him? Because you're hurting those kids by keeping them away from their father. And the statistics prove it. When you look at a child's truancy or look at a child's criminal record, a child who lives with their father alone and a child who lives with both parents is an equal amount of a rate when it comes to truancy and crime and promiscuity, all that stuff. But when you go to a single mother household, that number skyrockets, which means a father's influence in the life of a child is far more important than people want to get to admit.